Good evening, YouTube. Robert Alvarez, a psychic witch, also known as Mr. Lighting and a Fan. Welcome to the first day of spring in the Northern Hemisphere. I hope all of you are having a beautiful evening, beautiful day. As you may recall, today is the first day of autumn in the Southern Hemisphere. So there you go. So I want to talk a little bit about what the vernal equinox is. In some magical traditions, it is called Ostara. Ostara is the name that a lot of magical traditions use for the vernal equinox. And I'm going to lower the air purifier because it's a little bit too loud. That is better. So yay. So first of all, in Western astrology, Aries is the sign of new beginnings. And this is definitely an excellent time for new beginnings, new opportunities, new endeavors, professional, personal, spiritual. And I definitely, I'm looking at my notes. Let me acknowledge my newest YouTube channel subscribers. They are Chris Naputi, Vadim Marakulin. I use Google Translate. I will acknowledge that. Janelle Scanterberry, Sassy Fernandez. I love it. Sassy Fernandez. I love it. And Mia J, who is really one of my newest YouTube channel subscribers. Anyway, so as I was saying, in Western astrology, the first day of the vernal equinox is the first day of the sun's transit in Aries, the sign of new beginnings. It is the first sign of the Western zodiac. It is the first fire sign. It is the first cardinal sign. For those of you who are not too familiar with Western astrology, in Western astrology, all of the signs have an elemental association: fire, water, earth, air, a, um, a quality designation, cardinal, fixed, mutable, and a polarity designation, masculine or feminine. Aries is cardinal, fire, masculine energy. Going through the zodiac, we have different combinations of the other uh, designations. For example, my sun sign is Capricorn. Capricorn is a cardinal sign and it is an earth sign. And because it is an earth signs and water signs are feminine polarity. Fire signs and air signs are masculine polarity. So, and the polarities basically indicate how they approach situations. For example, masculine polarity signs like the fire signs and the air signs are more outer directed, whereas earth signs and water signs are more inner directed. Okay. So tonight, as I mentioned, is the night of the vernal equinox. It is the first day of spring in the northern hemisphere. It is also the date when the sun enters Aries. What it also is in Western astrology, it is the first day rather of the new astrological year. So because today is the date of the vernal equinox, it is also the first day of the new astrological year. If my memory serves me correct, the date of the vernal equinox next year in 2024 is March 19th. So this new astrological year is from March 20th, 2023 until March 18th, 2024. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about, and although it's pretty early in the stream, I still want to talk about it because this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this live stream. And that is that because today is the date of the first day in the sun's transit in Aries, and tomorrow is the date of the new moon in Aries, I definitely wanted to talk about creating two different wish lists. For today's vernal equinox, I definitely recommend an annual wish list. Things that you want to see happen in your life between now, Monday, March 20th, 2023, and whatever day of the week, March 18th, 2024 is. Since Aries is the sign of new beginnings, I would say look at what areas of your life you want to create a new beginning. So, for example, let's say that right now you're unemployed. A new beginning for you would be a new position of employment. And I'm going to actually give you additional instructions on how to create a wish list for the vernal equinox and for tomorrow's new moon. Although I'm going to focus less on the new moon tonight because I'm going to focus on tomorrow's new moon in Aries tomorrow, which is the date of the new moon in Aries. So that's one example. So let's say another example is that you are ready to take a major leap of faith with regards to being self-employed. That's something else that you can put on your vernal equinox wish list or your new astrological year wish list. How I was taught is that when it comes to listing items on a wish list, it can be no less than three and no more than 10. And always begin each of them with, I now attract the energy for. So let's say for using one of the previous examples, you want to attract a new position of employment. So you could begin with, I now attract the energy for a new position of employment. Or I now attract the energy for a very fulfilling, high paying job. Or I now attract the energy for something very exciting with regards to um, new opportunities. However, you want to word it after I now attract the energy for, that's completely up to you. That's how you're guided, that's how you're led, etc. Now, the other thing that I'm going to say is that when it comes to listing the items, there's no hard and fast rule. My recommendation, based on how I was taught, is no less than three items, no more than 10 items. But if you want to put down one, put down one. If you want to put down nine, put down nine. In fact, according to the Chaldean Hebrew Kabbalah system of numerology, the number nine is astrologically aligned with the sun signs Aries and Scorpio, as well as the planets Mars and Pluto. So you can easily um, list nine items. There's nothing wrong with listing one item, two item, three items, seven items, nine items, 10 items, even more than 10 items. It really depends on how you're guided and led. Between now and the last day, the day before the vernal equinox of 2024, you might want to change the lists even. Let's say that to use this as an example, let's say that for tonight, between tonight and tomorrow morning, you list seven items. Okay. And let's say that by June of 2023, of those seven items you list, three come to pass. So fine. So then what do you want to do? You can either leave it the way it is until the new vernal equinox of 2024, or you can actually change and make a new list. Like let's say that of those three items, of those seven items, those seven original items, three came into your life, so fine. And then with regards to the remaining four, one you're not as excited about as you used to be. So definitely with that additional recommendation, with that additional stipulation, rather, make a new vernal equinox wish list. And then you can list the items, let's say for the sake of argument, the remaining three items that you have yet to attract into your life, you're still excited about, you still feel would make a huge difference for you. And then you list them, you can even list them first. And then with regards to anything else that you'd like to see happen in your life between June of 2023 and the day before the vernal equinox of March 2024, then you can list several other items. It really is whatever happens, whatever is real for you, whatever is right for you, whatever feels right for you. So there's no like it must be done this way. Okay. I do feel the need to reiterate that, because there really is no like, this must be done the way it must be done, that kind of thing. Um, I'm checking in with my spirit guide to see if there's anything else that I've missed. There's nothing else that I've missed. I am going to do a quick check with Drake, more commonly known as my awesome audiovisual person for my YouTube videos, because he's standing by. So, one moment, please. Everything okay? I don't know what that means. Everything's okay. Okay. Nothing I need to worry about. Thank you. This is why Drake is my awesome audiovisual person for my YouTube videos. Okay. So, one of the announcements that I want to make is that I finally have a digital business card. I am very excited about it. I'm going to take a closer look at it over the next few days to make sure that it's really, really right. And then I'm going to attach it to I'm going to list it in, well, I'm definitely going to include it in all of the emails that I send. That'll be like my new email signature, quite frankly. And then I also have a new LinkedIn. Well, actually, I revamped the LinkedIn that I had. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some final tweaks on my I said LinkedIn. I did not mean that. Okay, let me try that again. Take two. So, um, okay. So here's the thing. So I meant to say Linktree, not LinkedIn. I did have a LinkedIn profile, but I wasn't attracting new clients and I wasn't doing a good job of networking. So I completely deleted my LinkedIn profile. And I'm really okay with that. I don't miss it. In fact, I've forgotten about it. I actually was reminded about LinkedIn because I was looking at the information on Lisa Young Sutton's um, YouTube channel, Lisa Loves Lenormand, and she has a LinkedIn profile. So I was like, oh, okay. So, so that then it was like back in my consciousness, LinkedIn. But yeah, because normally it's like I don't think about LinkedIn because, it's been out of my consciousness for the longest time. So anyway, so yeah, so Linktree is what I meant to say. I have a revamped Linktree link. I want to see if I can find a background color that's more purple than pink. So I'm gonna do a little bit of tweaking with it the next few days, and then I will officially attach it to my bios and all the social media platforms that I use. And I'll definitely include it in my about section on my YouTube profile. But yeah, so because I was looking at it yesterday and I'm like, you still look too pink to me. So I want to see if I can find one that's more purple. I'm not ready to yeah, I'm not ready to officially announce it as far as like, well, here's the link. But I definitely wanted to start putting it out there, especially because that is one of the new beginnings in my life. Not only having my very first digital business card, but also having a fully functioning Linktree profile. And I'm very happy about it. It was actually an educational experience for me because, I'm not accustomed to doing these things. Um, but I definitely got a lot of practice, and I did find a really cool tutorial for both the digital business card and Linktree. Actually, I found two YouTube videos on how to set up a Linktree profile that were both especially helpful. Anyway, I'm having my delicious coffee, my super duper delicious coffee. I tend to use more French vanilla on Mondays, so Monday is like a French vanilla day for me. So when I'm making a fresh percolator pot on a Monday, I'll tend to use French vanilla. It's tasty. Okay, so and I want to show all of you the pendant that I normally wear when the sun is in Aries. It is called brachiated jasper. And it's so interesting, so some of you know that I love Etsy. I love Etsy shops. And I remember Drake was showing me something that he wanted to give me. And I remember looking at this pendant on the Etsy shop, and I thought to myself, that is such an Aries gemstone. And I'd never even heard of brachiated jasper before. I mean, there are so many different kinds of jasper, just because there's so many different kinds of agate. And I was like, brachiated jasper. I'm like, that's a new one to me. But as the second I looked at the first image on the Etsy listing, I'm like, this is such an Aries gemstone. When I began reading about the crystal on the Etsy shop listing, the Etsy shop owner listed the astrological signs that are associated with brachiated jasper. And surprise, surprise, one of them is Aries. So I knew this would be a perfect pendant to wear while the sun is in Aries. And in fact, I actually put it on yesterday, a few hours before my personal vernal equinox ritual. Look who it is. It's Bast. Hello, Bast. Look, Bast. Hi, Bast. She's looking at me like, what are you doing? Hi. Say hello to everybody. Say hello to everybody. Say hello to everybody. She does not want to do this. She's like, no. She was not thrilled with that. Listen, I'm a crazy cat man, okay? And any opportunity I have to put my cats in my videos, I milk it for all it's worth. I really do. Shamelessly, by the way. Shamelessly. I am shameless when it comes to depicting my cats and using them as clickbait. Not that I'm very good at clickbait. I mean, I've watched a few clickbait videos on YouTube, and believe me, I have no skill in clickbaiting videos. So, anyway, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. So again, when it comes to creating any type of wish list, and in this case, with regards to the vernal equinox, or in some magical traditions, Ostara, it is absolutely ideal to create a wish list with regards to new beginnings, new opportunities, new endeavors, anything that you want to create in your life, anything that you want to initiate in your life, any part of your life, any area of your life where you want new beginnings and new opportunities and new endeavors. I'm I'm having a bit of a I'm having some difficulty right now. Um, okay, so I made a few announcements about this live stream tonight on social media, and I'm a bit disheartened by the fact that there's only one person watching. And here's what's going to happen. So if by 7:30 p.m. there isn't at least 3 people watching the stream, I'm going to end the stream at 7:30. I do apologize if that's an inconvenience for some of you, but I'm having a lot of difficulty, um, just like going through this stream, and I feel like it's not as engaging for me. And it clearly isn't engaging with YouTube land because there's only one person watching this. So let's see what happens. And I'm going to leave it at that. So I already announced my newest YouTube channel subscribers. I'm going to go through the astrology of today. So the sun officially entered Aries at 5:24 p.m. Eastern Time. And and of course, most of you know how much I love Llewellyn's daily planetary guides. So today is the date of the vernal equinox. It is the day of Ostara. The sun has entered Aries, and today is also International Astrology Day. International Astrology Day is also the first day of the new astrological year, which always begins on the date of the vernal equinox, or rather the date when the sun enters Aries. That's the more accurate description. So, and I've noticed this because I've been using Llewellyn's daily planetary guide for several years. And the date of the vernal equinox, the date of the spring equinox, the date of the first day of spring is also the date when the sun enters Aries. And on that date, it always lists, in fact, year after year, it's always spring equinox, then Ostara, then sun enters Aries, then International Astrology Day. I do not know if you can see it. I don't think you can see it. Yeah, it's right here. It lists them from top to bottom. So yeah. So, and I'm getting a phone call, but I'm not going to answer it because I know who it is and they'll leave a message and all that other good stuff. So, tomorrow is the date of the new moon in Aries, and I'll definitely talk about the new moon in Aries and the new moon wish list during tomorrow's live stream. I was waiting for the phone to finish making its rounds. Oh, I'm like, I closed the book and then I'm like, no, I forgot to say something. So right now, the moon is in Pisces, and we are in a waning moon. Tonight is the night before the new moon. I have often talked about the dark moon tides. I've often talked about, why, as part of my personal magical practice, dark moons are really what does it for me. Dark moons really do it for me, and I find that dark moons, and specifically the dark moon tides, which are the 3 nights before the new moon, are really ideal for um, eliminating, surrendering, releasing, banishing, dissolving. It really is the perfect time period, or rather, the perfect lunar phase for all of those activities. Um, I've always felt that binding rituals and binding spells and hexings work especially well during the dark moon tides. I find that readings are especially more accurate during a dark moon tide. I find that energy healing treatments are even more powerful during a dark moon tide. And that's just been my experience. You in YouTube land could have a very different experience. You could have a very different experience. For you, you may find that readings the night before the full moon are more accurate for you and more insightful for you. You may find that when you have an energy healing treatment between a new moon and a full moon, they're even more profound for you. For everybody, it's always different. But in my experience and in my in my personal experience and in my professional experience, I find that readings are more accurate during the dark moon tides. I find that energy healing treatments are more powerful and more profound during the dark moon tides. And certain kinds of rituals and spells I find to be more powerful and more effective during the dark moon tides. And I'm also going to say that, for a lot of people, shadow work is most ideal during the dark half of the year, meaning from Mabon onward. And I do not dispute that. I do not dispute that. Um, I've often mentioned that I am a moon magic witch. And as a moon magic witch, I tend to be more lunar when it comes to ritual work and spellcraft. I tend to be more lunar oriented with regards to rituals and spells. And the fact of the matter is that the dark half of the year is more of a solar attunement or more of a solar orientation, because we know that the dark half of the year technically begins around Lunasa. Because remember, Lunasa is the first of the 3 harvest rituals. Samhain is the last of the 3 harvest rituals. So that's what I have found. But and a lot of people find that the dark half of the year is more ideal for shadow work. I do not dispute that. I'm not arguing that. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. So I see that there are two people that have joined the stream. And if in another 5 minutes there isn't at least three people, I will end the stream at 7:30. So thank you to the second person who showed up. That's very nice of you. I appreciate you for joining. But as I was saying, during the dark moon tides, you can absolutely engage in shadow work. In fact, if you really want to to elaborate on it a little bit more, when the moon is waning, it's an excellent time for shadow work, especially since the moon is about the unconscious, the moon is about the inner landscape, the inner world. So, absolutely, shadow work is ideal during that time. And I would definitely say, and how I was taught is that the night of a full moon is a waning moon. If you look at the moon astrologically, you will notice that at least 70% of the time, the night of a full moon, it's already a different transiting sign. Like, let's say the next full moon is going to be in April. And let me take a quick look. So according to this calendar, I actually forgot the name of this calendar. I'll have to include it in the description box. But the next full moon is on Thursday, April 6th, 2023. So since the sun is already in Taurus, that will be a full moon in Scorpio. So there is a very good chance that the night of that full moon, the moon will already be in Sagittarius, but the night before, the moon will be in Scorpio. So it's definitely, I pay closer attention to these things because Scorpio and Sagittarius are very different energetically. I mean, you could probably still do a full moon ritual for increased psychic ability and for uncovering a truth during the night of a full moon in Scorpio. But if that full moon in Scorpio, if by the time the night of the full moon occurs, using this example, the moon is already in Sagittarius, that's a totally different energy. Because looking at Scorpio from a purely Western astrological perspective, you have fixed, water, feminine. Sagittarius is mutable, fire, masculine. You have three different energies. You have two different sets of energies between Scorpio and Sagittarius. So different energies all the way around. So it's my recommendation to do a full moon ritual the night before, because the night before has so much more oomph, so much more energy. And if you are engaging in a particular spell or ritual, using that night before the full moon's energy will bring you that desired result. But don't take my word for it. That's just something that's worked especially well for me. I find, again, based on how I was taught, the night of a full moon, the moon is already waning. And I cannot tell you how many times I will look at the moon the night before it's full, and it looks so much richer and more profound, and it looks brighter. But when I look at the full moon the night of a full moon, it's not as full to me. And I always think to myself, maybe it's just my imagination. Maybe I'm seeing it skewed because I know that it's the night of a full moon. Those thoughts occur to me. But I will say that it's one thing that I've noticed time and time again. So I do find that doing a ritual the night before full moon has more power, has more energy, has more oomph, as I would say. And I know that in many magical traditions, the night before full moon, the night of a full moon, and the night after a full moon definitely have that potency of full moon energy. I tend to be a little more specific and a little more exacting in my rituals and spells. for various reasons. You know, I'm one of those people that the few times that I do rituals and spells, I want them to be successful, and I want them to um, have as much chances of success as possible. So I take everything into consideration, every detail, every astrological transit. Um, those aren't required, and I know that they're not required. I just have this thing about making the few spells and rituals that I do for myself as successful as possible, as yeah, as successful as possible, as fulfilling as possible, as amazing as possible. Anyway, um, so, to those two of you who joined, thank you very much. I'm going to end the stream now. I will be back tomorrow night, Tuesday, March 21st, 2023, from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Although, if I still get these kinds of results, I'll probably end it between 7:15 and 7:30. Um, so, I'm not wasting your time and I'm not wasting my time and all that other good shit and all that other good stuff. So have a good night. I wish you many blessings and stay tuned until tomorrow night. And a quick reminder, it is 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, thank you and have a good evening.